What's up? What's up? What's up? How y'all doing, ladies? How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, I am good. I am good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Love Talk Podcast, where we talk about everything love, relationships, situationships, entanglements. And as our Miss Co-host, Queen Unique says, sunken ships and drunken ships.
Sunken ships and drunken ships.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey. That look, we just gonna go ahead and roll with it.
I like it. Them sunken and drunken ships.
Hey, look, I'm trying to tell you.
You know what? I just
Yep.
like the way that sounds. So I'm a sunken and drunken.
Sucking and drunken chips, you better believe it. And we want to give a shout out to our comment regulator, Miss Moderator, the Savage Queen, Francis. She is going to be in the comments. So if y'all act up, okay, you getting blocked, period.
Yeah,
so don't come on here on no mess. Don't start nothing. Won't be nothing.
You see her in the comments. She said,
I'm telling you.
Come in, be respectful.
That part.
Enjoy the show.
That part. And that's all you got to do. Don't come in here on no mess.
That's it.
How is y'all Sunday going?
My Sunday is going amazing. I can't complain whatsoever.
That's awesome. You Miss Unique. What's up, girl?
It's Sunday.
Look, who you telling? I had the day off, so I ain't even mad. I'm gonna be honest with you. Look, when I tell you I slept good, Do you hear me? I slept real good.
And me both. I ain't even go. Look, I ain't get up. Let me tell you, I got up at about 11, and then I went back to sleep and ain't
Girl,
get up until about 3.
sound like me. I ain't waking up till like 2. I was like, what? Y'all can miss me on all that. I ain't getting up early, not if I ain't got to.
That's it. That's it right there.
And so, yes, I want y'all to come in here, act right, be respectful, please, because if you don't, the comment regulator will be on your butt. That's all I'm gonna say, and we're gonna leave it there. Today we have Miss Brittany, who's going to be coming on the show, and she's going to be sharing with us her relationship tips and stories. And so this ought to be interesting. It ought to be fun. Hopefully she got some good stuff to share. Before we jump into that, has anybody heard anything about what is going on concerning the whole Diddy thing and TD Jakes and all that good stuff? What's up there?
I ain't heard nothing. I feel like TD didn't prayed everything away, so we just gonna go with it.
Think he done prayed everything away? I don't know if he done prayed everything away, girl.
Look, that's my story, and I'm sticking to
it. We gonna find out real soon. All right, what's up, Jesse? Glad you've been enjoying the show. Thank you for coming back. Make sure that you share, and show us some love. Show us some love. Yeah, we're going to see what happened. I mean, we are only at the beginning of 24. I do know if you don't learn no other lessons in 2024, learn this one. If you are not sent for, do not come for Cat Williams. If you don't got nothing else.
Listen, Cat is not playing, and I
am
not
playing.
Mad at him.
And not at all. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. And if anybody wants to smoke, they can get it, because Cat Williams gonna blow it straight at you. Look, if you ain't sent for it, don't come for him. That's all I know. If I don't know nothing else, I know that.
Straight like that.
Because he on all of them. Every last one, for real. And he ain't holding back no punches at all. He like, what's up? What y'all gonna, since y'all want to come up here and lie, then let me go ahead and give you this. And the crazy thing is that nobody has said that he is lying. They've responded. But they ain't saying he was lying.
And see, the funny thing is, y'all better stop fucking with a pimp named Slickback, because listen, he pulled that blade out on he can crunch in on your balls and one horse open. Look,
okay.
If we gotta go back to Friday after next, he ain't playing. He
ain't playing. And it's crazy because I thought people already knew that. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't fully understand it. I'm not sure what's going on, because I'm like, I thought y'all already knew Cat was not the one. Like,
and he don't give a damn.
None. Zero.
And folks was trying to make it seem like he was inebriated, he was high, he was all types of shit. I'm like, y'all do realize he acts like this on the regular.
Literally.
Like, y'all
since he's been performing.
Y'all shouldn't be surprised.
Since he's been performing, he has been calling y'all out from the beginning. Ain't nothing here a surprise. None of it. The only thing is he got on Shannon Sharpton's show. Shannon Sharp. What's his name? Is that his name? Shannon Sharp?
Yeah, Shannon Sharp.
He got on Club Shay Shay, and and that was it. Exactly. So like I said, let that be the first lesson you learn for 24. Look, if he don't send for you, don't come for him.
Please, because he gonna give you what you look. He gonna give you what you came for. He gonna give you what you came for with his little ass. I be trying to tell people. Look, I be trying to tell people, stop fucking with us little people.
Girl, it's like they don't get 2 and 2. I don't understand. 2 and 2 is 4. It ain't 6, baby. I'm telling you, it ain't that complicated. I promise you, it's not.
I'm just saying.
I promise you, it's not complicated. What's your thoughts on the whole thing with the Shannon Sharp and his whole Cat Williams comments? Unique. What's your thoughts? Where do you lay it with that whole thing?
I mean, I watched the whole thing. Honestly, I don't know because I mean none of us was there, so I don't know. Um, I just don't know. I don't care really, but I don't know either. But um, I don't know. I mean, if he's telling the truth about some things, it'll come out. If he's lying about some things, that'll come out too. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen in the next, couple months. So
I
you never
mean, and
know.
that is true. That is true. That's very, very true. I mean, but that was the thing. Cat Williams got on there because he was responding to lies that were told about him or stories that weren't told fully. And so he was responding. So I mean, like I said, he's had a lot of responses literally from who? Faison Love, Big was it Big Perm or Big Worm? Was it Big Worm?
Both of them.
But all right.
I
So
mean, but
him.
everybody has their own story and their own truth. So, everybody says it happened their way. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily lying or telling the truth either. So, well, there's
How
always two
tall are
sides
we?
to every story.
I'm 5'5". I'm 5'5". He wants to know how tall we are.
I'm
4'10",
5'6" and I'm 5'6" and some change.
4'10",
5'6",
Yes.
4'10".
proudly 4'10".
Yep. But that's the thing. I mean, like I said, a lot of people have responded. No one has said he's lying. I believe,
Well, I mean, Cube said he wasn't telling the truth about what he was saying was they had that rape scene or whatever, and right whatever. And Cube was like, "No, I would never ever write anything or do anything like that. Like that. Why would I do that?" So Cube did respond to that.
okay. So we're gonna have to get that up. Try to find that for me and send it to me. We're gonna
Yeah,
have to get that up.
a lot of people were responding. It's just they haven't aired all of it. So
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. I mean, it's
that's why I said we don't
Hollywood.
know what's going to happen in the next couple of months. Some people might produce receipts. Some people might not. We don't know.
Yeah,
Facts.
and it's Hollywood, and so it's definitely gonna stay interesting. I just thought it was funny. I thought the whole interview was funny. Like he had Shannon Sharp and like
Oh, Shannon Sharp was like, "Oh my gosh, I hope I still have a show after this." That was so funny.
like like Janaea be saying, Shannon Sharp was clutching his pearls.
He was clutching them shits like, oh my god.
Like, he
Mhm.
was like,
Cause
oh my goodness,
I'm sorry, Shannon Sharp is funny as hell. That man is
he's
funny.
funny.
Like,
He's
and he's
funny.
seriously funny because his reactions, he'd be like, "Oh my god." Well, wait a minute. Hello. But it'd be so funny because he'd be like, "Well, damn, I
It
wasn't."
was so funny. It was so funny. And I'm just sitting here and he said, I ain't gonna never be able to get nobody else back up on my show. But I believe what Cat Williams said. One thing for sure, I do believe that now they are all going to want to come on the show because they're going to want to respond. They're going to want to
Facts.
respond, and they're
Facts.
they're comedians, and so that's their job is to be funny and to be silly and stuff like that. And I believe somebody going to come on the show and they're going to have something crazy to say, just like Cat did. So we're gonna see what
Facts.
happens. We will see what happened. But yeah, I know it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good year for sure. I'm really, really excited about it. So let's see. No video on my end either. Huh? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I'm trying to get in touch with our guest. I'm trying to get in touch with our guest and let her know, like, it's time for you to come on the show. So you got to go ahead and accept that link. Come on.
Where's
Let's
she at? We ain't
go.
playing. We ain't
Girl,
playing.
I
Where's
don't
she at?
know. I said, come on, we got stuff to do. You better be ready.
Cause
As
if
I
not,
told you how
hey,
long y'all getting to me, I told you I got stuff to do.
Right.
listen,
You better be
listen.
ready. So I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back. I'm gonna give
Come
myself a
on.
little pat on the back because look, she's talking about come on and she don't even know what I'm about to say.
I don't care, but just come on.
I think I have. I can't say I'm how successful it's going to be, but I think I have made a love connection. I ain't gonna give no details.
Hey,
I ain't gonna
hey, let's see.
look,
Let's see.
look. But we
Let's
gonna see
see.
what
Who
happened.
is it?
We gonna see what happened. We gonna
Okay.
keep it on the DL a little bit, but we gonna see
Back.
what happened.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Just make sure
Yeah.
he don't act like you know who. We all good.
Oh,
Listen.
no, 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 not me. No, 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 not for me. No.
Oh, okay then. We'll go. Okay, we good then. Okay.
Oh, I mean the first love connection of the Love Talk podcast. No, not me.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Hey.
Yeah, no, 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 not me. But
Okay.
I think we've made the first match, so we're gonna see
Let's
how that
Aw,
goes.
go.
that's sweet.
We're gonna see how that goes.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for you to match me up with my Aquaman. I'm
Look,
still waiting.
y'all tag. What's that dude's name? Jason Momoa. Is that his
Oh
name?
yes. Yes.
Yes.
Him, tag him, Francis, tag him, Jesse, send this to Jason Momoa. We got to get Unique matched up with him. I don't know how, but we got to figure it out. Look, I ain't gonna look, look,
OMG.
look. I ain't gonna say no names. That's all. I ain't gonna say no names.
Oh shit.
Hey, ma. Hey. We gotta tag Jason Momoa. We gotta tag Jason Momoa.
Oh.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say no names. All I'm saying is that I think we did it. That's all
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying.
awesome.
I
Oh,
think
that's so awesome.
I
I hope
think
we
we have.
learn the progression of how it goes, That'd be good.
We gonna see how it rolls. I'm sure we'll have a update soon as it concerns that matchmake. So but for real, y'all, for real, for real, for real. And Jesse, you spread the word too. Make sure you share. We are trying to host our very, very first matchmaking, the Love Talk dating games. We trying to match some people up for real. We don't know how it's gonna work. We're gonna have everybody sign something because we ain't responsible. But
Facts. Facts.
Definitely not.
I'm rooting for Kratos being right.
OMG.
look, straight
Boom.
cougars. Rawr.
Oh my God.
I'm sick. I'm sick. You a smart ass, yo.
Ma, you are. My mom is 4'11". Oh, okay, we getting heights. Look, he said wolf. Have you ever, what's the youngest you've ever dated when it comes to the men that you talk to? Both of y'all. Question goes for both of y'all. Youngest
Okay.
you've ever dated.
Now dated, I haven't. Now had a conversation with one, and he was 10 years younger than me.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how'd that go?
Clearly this nigga's not around no more. He was a narcissist, and he really thought he was that dude. And I had to and I think at that time in my life, I was in a place of not fully being engulfed in my therapy and everything like that. And I accepted and dealt with and put up with certain shit to the point where this nigga had me questioning myself, like, am I ugly? And when I tell you, this motherfucker was ugly, but at the time, his personality had me engulfed because the things that we talked about, I was still in that place in my life that I was like, this still is entertaining to me. I hadn't reached the point where I am at now, to the point where that don't really serve me no purpose. You know what I mean? So I dealt with it and I kept up with it, and we talked every day, all day, every day. But now, when I tell you, I was like, oh hell no, bruh, you're not even cute. You look like the fucking crypt keeper. Like, I can't believe I allowed you to make me feel a certain type of way.
My mom said, wow.
Do you know who I am? Clearly, I didn't at the time, but you know what?
My mom
It's okay.
said
It's okay.
Okay, get your mama.
yeah, mom said I loved being a cougar. All right, what about you, Unique? What about you?
All right,
Have you
mama.
do you have
Okay,
any
well,
cougar stories?
I really don't date nobody younger than me. I have talked to somebody who was like a good 8 or 9 years younger than me, but that was just talking. Like we never like hung out or anything like that. But as far as like dating or whatever, I think the youngest, because I don't do young guys like that, so I think the youngest is like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Um, but as far as like having a conversation with, because there was this guy, he was, oh my gosh, and he was beautiful too. And he was real young. He was like real young, but he was so mature for his age. And I think that that's what had made me like really attracted to him or whatever. And yeah, he was, but that was a while ago. But yeah, when I started
Okay.
talking to him, I think he was like 23, 24, and that was a few years ago. So he should probably be probably like 28, 29 now, maybe.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But I don't
Okay.
talk to him like that. But that was just talking. Like I said, we never like, like met in person or anything like that. We were just having conversations. But that was like the youngest. When I was like younger, I think I was like maybe like a couple of years. But yeah, I don't do that whole. I need me a whole grown man. So I can't do that younger thing.
Now
Now
I
ask me.
I
Now ask me in like
understand
10 years. I might be a cougar then. Ask me.
I
But
understand that fully, but I think for me, it has to be a really secure, mature level. And I say that because when I had hair, my barber at the time, I think he was only like 24, 25. This baby, he opened up, he went from being the head barber in a barbershop. He went from that to opening his own barbershop, to having people work for him, to and I granted I don't get my hair cut by him anymore because I'm bald, but I still get the emails on everything that he's doing. He recently had a baby and all this
Oh
type of
wow.
stuff. Like when I saw him, when I met him, he was very like he was engaged to be married, had a house, and was really doing his thing.
Hmm.
Like, and he was younger. I looked at him, and especially the barbershop that he had, everybody was either younger than him or maybe like a year or two older than him, but they were all in their 20s. And I'm like, damn. And
Right.
one of the
Handling
barbers,
their business.
right, one of the barbers had a whole family. I think he had like 2 or 3 kids, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just like, damn, like
Yeah.
so it's really a mature level. I think as I get older, I still kind of look at age, but then I base it off of your maturity level, because I have met men in their 30s, 40s, 50s who act younger than the men that I've met in their 20s. And it's like, you're a clown. Like, you sound like a child based off how you move and the things that you say. Like, you're a whole
Mhm.
joke. So I don't really add age to maturity. Now, it does play a part in a lot of cases, but I think that comes from how bad a young man wants what he wants out of life. And what's crazy,
Yeah.
I see a lot of younger people in this generation handling business more than men in my generation and older. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, it's just like, wow, like you your age, I thought you were older than what you were. I'm shocked that you're only in your 20s.
Right. Right. I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, there is, especially now, you see it. Um, you see where a lot of older men, or even just guys who are our age, honestly, there are some guys who are older than us who
Right.
still playing. They
Yes.
still playing games.
Yes.
And I mean, that's not okay. I feel like if I meet a guy who's 35 or even 30 up, period, just 30
Right.
plus, you're 30 plus period, and you playing games, you don't know what you want, you ain't got no life goals. You don't know nothing
Still
about
look,
nothing.
still
You
fucking lying.
like, I mean, we too grown for that. We are too grown to be sitting here playing games. And so I think when you get to a certain age, it honestly, it doesn't even matter what age. It's about maturity. Once you get to a point in your life, you're mature enough to know that, okay, I have to have stuff figured out. I want dot 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 this, that, and the third, you should always be growing. You should always be, coming through, or at least trying to follow your goals. You should always be doing more to grow. Once you get to that point, then okay, cool. But for you to live a long life, you in your 30s and your 40s and you in your 50s, and you doing all the same stuff, you're trying to do all the same stuff you was doing
Right.
way back when, that's a problem.
Look, and you still
And we the
doing
same
women wrong,
age?
and you
Oh,
still doing people wrong. Like, bruh, you about to die soon. Stop playing.
right. Right.
Stop
Like, what is
playing.
you doing? What is you doing? What are you, I don't get it. Like, I don't even get it. I do not get it. I really don't. I mean, I've talked, to answer my own question, I've talked to younger guys. The guy, I married someone who was younger than me, only by like a year. Um, Married somebody that was younger than me, but the youngest I've talked to, and it's been within a year, is 22. 22? Yeah, I think he's 22. And that was just a little fun, but that's all that was.
Right. Right.
That was just a little fun, and it, look, he kept up. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm here for it. Now,
That's all I'm gonna say.
I think for me, like Unique said, I haven't dated anybody younger than me, just carried on conversation. And I think that comes from, like, a lot of men
That
see
part,
me,
Francis.
and
That part.
they think I'm younger than what I am, which is great. I love that. But I'll be
Same.
like, sweetheart, I'm like 5+ years older than you, like, give or take, depending on their age. But I'm
Right.
just like, nah, you not, you still playing, baby. You still wet behind the ears. Come on. Your tongue got Similac on it. Like, no, you haven't lived life yet, for real, to even be able to, keep up with me in regards to real life shit. Of course, drinking and partying and all that. Cool. I don't do that. But it's
Right.
like, you can't, you really can't compute to the things that I have dealt with being 35 years old,
Right.
you know?
Right. 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 Right.
So it's just like, okay, okay.
So at one point, I wanted someone granddad, but
You
you
know
worse
what?
than the younger. I've had
Savage,
somebody's
get out.
granddad. I ain't gonna
Get
lie. I've
out.
had somebody's granddad. I have had somebody's granddad. Not it wasn't planned, but that has been.
Listen, at this point now, just give me the grandson because the granddad is ridiculous.
Look. All right, y'all. So now we about to go ahead and bring on our guest. Queen Brittany is coming over to the show. She is on. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? And welcome to the Love Talk podcast. Can she talk?
I
She
think
got
she's
her mic on
Unmute.
mute.
Yeah,
she's
Oh,
on
unmute your
there
mute.
we
mic.
There
go.
she goes.
Hi.
There we go. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I am very sick right now. I got like a whole bunch of different things going on.
Uh-oh.
So
Oh
I
man,
sound very different. I almost sound like a man, so I apologize.
it's okay. It's okay. I know it's something that's been going around literally over, all over. It's crazy. It's been a lot of people that's been getting sick, but we hope that you get better.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So, welcome back to the show. She did record she was on season 1 and she recorded an episode. I think the name of the episode was called Toxic Baby Daddy Love. It's talking
Mm.
about how that love can become toxic if you don't cut it off. He said, "Don't say that, Colorado good." Well, I'm glad y'all ain't getting sick out there. And so today we are going to be talking about, or Miss Queen Brittany is going to be talking about relationship tips and giving us some stories. And so, what's going on with that? Let's get to it. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Say something.
Trying to connect my earbuds so I can have a drowns
Okay,
out.
there you go. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, is this even? I don't know if they're connected.
We can hear you.
Hey, I know you like to be the star of every show I have, but can you just let mom have it this time? This time. This what I doing with your makeup. Ass. Okay, everybody, that's Jay Z on. He always gotta, you know.
Hey, Jayzion.
Hi.
He said hi.
He always thinks he got to be in the spotlight with mom. I don't know. Hi. His deal.
So, what kind of relationship? Well, let's start with the stories first. What all is going on with you and that part? How's your love life?
It's not horrible. It's actually getting better, surprisingly. Um, wow. Mine actually, um, it's had the ups, the ugly, the uglier, and yeah,
You're
but hey.
cutting out. You're cutting out. We can't hear you.
Uh-oh. See, that's why I'm trying to get these earbuds to work, and they're just being weird. Oh no, I talked to her. I talked to her, but Jazzy, shh. Can you hear me?
Yep. Now, what were you saying?
I said between the good, the bad, and the ugly, I've had a lot. I've had a lot going on in my life, and recently everything is getting much better than it has been in quite some time. Actually, the relationship that I've had with the person that I've been with for 7 years, it's been one of those back and forth deals. Where he's like, "Oh, we're together. Oh, we're not together," and we're actually in a better place now than we have been ever because we're not sitting here worrying so much about the relationship part as we are trying to be like, okay, well, we both really want to be together, but at the same time, we both know we got a lot going on. So we're trying to be together, but without putting as much pressure on it as there was before. Because he's got a lot of things going on to try to get figured out for himself. I've got a lot of things I'm trying to figure out for myself. And there was a whole lot of, well, we have to go out and go out on dates. We have to go out and do this. We have to do that because that's what's expected in the world around us. Like everybody, that's the natural order, I guess, or whatever. But that's not what was working for us.
So, you guys have kind of found your own rhythm and how you're going to pursue with your relationship. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. And so with that, what do you mean by like people were was it just kind of unsolicited advice or how?
Yeah, it was a lot of unsolicited advice always being popped in and popped out. And apparently it wasn't just on my side because for the longest time I thought it was just on my side that was happening. But apparently it was happening quite a bit with him because we sat down and we've had heartfelt conversations that we haven't had in years. I mean, we haven't had them in years.
Mhm.
And we sat down and we were able to communicate again, just like it was the first time we were together, or first year. And it actually was really nice because it was like we haven't been able to do that. And we've tried to, but we haven't had the opportunity. So
Okay, okay, yeah, that's totally understandable. And so with that, well, I guess let's start there with your first tip. What have you learned with being in and out of that relationship for several years? What have you learned is something that you can just share?
definitely listen deeper to your partner and what they're trying to say because sometimes it's not always easy for them to be able to say it either. Understand and they don't have, and that is something that's very important. I mean, God gives us the ability to have patience. It's just whether we choose it.
You say God gives us the ability to have what? Patience and what else?
God gives us the patience, or God gives us the choice, the ability to have patience. But it's up
Mm,
to us to make sure that we are paying attention and taking on the patience that we need to have. Because a lot of times it's not there for a lot of people.
okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, and that's true. That's very, very true. Um, Goes, what is your advice on better communication for someone who is guarded? That's a great question. That's a great, great question. What's your advice on that, Brittany?
So I am definitely the queen of being guarded. I um being guarded is a very serious thing. It's not something that's easy to overcome. It's not even a thought for most people that are guarded like extremely heavy, and it's just not. But you have to trust in God first and let him guide you. And if he's the one guiding you to where you're going and you're allowing that, then things will happen the way they're supposed to. I don't, for a long time, and Santa, you can attest to this, I really just sat here and I was trying to hold the reins. I would sit here and say that I'm letting God do everything. But in reality, I think I was kind of like sabotaging it myself, like not letting it happen, not letting things go the way that God had planned because I was trying to force things with my relationship, and it really just wasn't going that great. And I feel it was because I was sitting here saying that I was doing something, but I wasn't doing it because I was still very guarded. I didn't want to trust anything. I wanted to be like, no, this can't be it's too good to be true. So trusting in instincts and trusting in God and letting God help you is very important. I'm sorry, I talk a lot about God and everything, but it's kind of where I'm at in my life.
Oh
So
no, we're all for it. We're all for it over here for sure. Um, and so I get to my co-host. Have you ladies ever been guarded where it's just been kind of hard to communicate with you, or been in a relationship with someone whose wall is up?
That's kind of my situation now. Like, I've been open with my boyfriend since day one, and it's like it's hard for him to open up and communicate with me, and that causes a lot of conflict within our relationship.
Mm.
Absolutely. I have absolutely. And as I like I said, as I've gotten older, I'm done, and I've gotten to the place where if I tell you this is the type of time that I'm on, head on, and you're still holding back, even though you're telling me, oh my gosh, you're amazing, I love it here, you make me feel this way. You're saying everything great, but your actions are showing that you're
yeah,
still guarded. And I say that because I'm going to continue to say it till I'm black and blue in the face. People need to heal from past trauma, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
from your parents,
Yes.
from your childhood,
Yes.
from friendships, from other relationships. So you stop bleeding and cutting people and blaming people who had nothing to do with
what
your
happened?
current trauma, with your current hurt, with your current wall being up. I didn't do shit to you. I'm new for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you decided to engage with me and entertain me during your time of when you're not healed. You're just trying to fill a void that nobody's ever going to fill besides yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but you're trying. And what I'm not going to be your scapegoat because I am whole by myself. I am good by myself. And what you're not going to do is use me temporarily to make you feel good and love on you because you see how I love on other people, how I treat people, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to treat you that way just because that's how I am. But if you're not giving me the same shit I'm giving you, that's dead to me. And then when I leave you, now you're the victim. Now I'm the bad person. Now I'm the villain. But guess what? That is perfectly fine with me because your
Right.
opinion and your feelings towards me are irrelevant at this point, and I don't give two fucks about how you feel about me leaving you because you had a choice and you chose what you chose based off your feelings. I respect it, but I'll never understand it, and you will never get kudos from me because you had a choice. You had a
Right.
choice to choose from the beginning to say, I'm just not ready, we can keep it at a friendship level or whatever, so I know how to carry it with you. But don't make it seem like you like me for a hidden agenda for a different reason. That's what we not gonna do.
Right. Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
it's a lot where
I
I was. Yeah,
Go ahead, Brittany.
I was gonna say that's where I was at not long ago myself. I definitely was there because I understand and can relate to that quite a bit. I ended up having this place where I was like, I just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
There's no more. There's give if you're not willing to let down your guards. I understand there's a lot of things that have gone wrong for you. There's that fear that you have because of this thing you want to call it, like it's called he calls it his family curse. Um and I sit here and I can relate to his ideals about that because my parents have had failed marriages and everything, and I'm sitting here like, but that's them, and if we don't step up and if we don't break those things, like that's where we have to step up and we have to prove that that's not a family curse. That's just something horrible that happened to them, and we need to better and be above it. And we have to show our children that we can be stronger so they know they can be stronger. Because we have between the two of us, we have 9 boys. And I don't want them to ever think that doing anything wrong towards a woman is okay. And I had that conversation with him. It was very serious because I'm like, these boys are going to grow up thinking that it's okay to do the things to a woman that is definitely not okay. I don't want my sons to believe that it's okay for a woman to be led on for a while, all the while he's sitting there seeing other women or and bad about other women, or like, oh, well, that she's this and that because when we were in this relationship, she decided that she was going to be all this way, even though I told her I didn't like it or whatever it was. Like, I don't want my sons doing that. So I broke that down for him. I'm like, if you don't pay attention to the things you do, because our sons are old enough, especially the ones who are hitting their preteens, they're sitting here looking at that stuff and they're like, okay, well, this is what dad's doing. Maybe I'm going to be cool. And if I'm cool like dad, I could be doing these things. And he actually heard me this last time that I actually opened up and told him that. And like, I'm sitting here in tears and he listened for the first time in like forever. He actually heard me and he's quit doing a lot of the things he was doing. It was bad. It was pretty awful, but he's quit doing it. And now there's a whole different change. There's a whole different vibe. The kids are even very different about how they see their dad. And for somebody to be able to change like that, it takes a lot for a man to be able to do that. But it's always a great thing when they do. Because you don't want your kids growing up thinking that that's the way things are supposed to be. If we had daughters, I don't even know. I think there's a whole reason I don't have any. Like, we don't have any. Because I don't want my little daughter thinking it's okay for a man to do that to her. I don't know. I definitely, like, when it comes to relationship stuff, I definitely automatically go to, like, what are my kids seeing? Because I know that I want better for my kids than anything that's ever been for me. I've been that way forever. My kids are my everything, my whole wide world, and I want them to have a better everything, including relationships, no matter what kind of relationship it is. I want them to have the best relationship with God. I want them to have the best relationship that they can find for themselves, to having a partner for as long as they can. I mean, I sit here and I just sorry, I'm about to cry for a second. I just had to say goodbye to my uncle yesterday. He's actually my great uncle. He's my mom's uncle. He's a really great guy. He's amazing. And my papa last year. And then they were married to their wives, who are amazing and beautiful women. They were married to them for a long time. And I feel like that generation knew what they were doing because it wasn't a perfect marriage. I mean, like, it was probably a perfect marriage, but every relationship has its issues. But they were strong enough to be able to push through them. And I feel like those kind of relationships don't really exist that much anymore because we have all this extra media stuff that kind of pulls into breaking up perfectly good relationships because something happens in it. There's like all these different apps and all these different things and ways for people to talk and be all sneaky and sly about stuff. But back then, there wasn't any of the media, there wasn't any of these apps, there wasn't any of those things, and people were married till death did they part. And till death did they part really meant what it says. And dying from a broken heart is a real thing. And I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. But being in a relationship for a long period of time takes a lot of work. And people don't do that anymore. Nobody wants to put that work in anymore. Nobody wants to put in that kind of effort. But I'm like definitely old school and want to figure out a way to make sure that that happens, because I don't want my kids to not know what it is to have a relationship that lasts longer than a few months.
Mr. Jesse here, he sends his condolences for you losing your uncle, and so do we. That's really sad. When you, of course, then when you lose people who you're close to, and losing people can often make you look at life a little differently. And the things that we do just as human, the things that we put up with, etc. And so, yeah, condolences again for you on, on losing your uncle. But you did say something that I thought was interesting. You said that there is a difference now, which there is. There is a difference. Well, I don't know how much of a difference. I think honestly, the biggest difference is that social media, the world that we live in, we're kind of technology. Our world is driven by technology. Is a big difference. I really believe between a lot of relationships back then and now, and things that we have access to. You said that now people have apps and things like that. There's things that can drive, I guess, a wedge in between relationships. And with that being, I'm assuming that you meant the apps with people being sneaky.
Yeah.
How well, I guess what I need to understand a little bit, and I don't know that I will, depending on how you put it. But if someone is being sneaky, or they're on apps, or they're doing anything, they know that they're in a full blown relationship. You know that you're in a full blown relationship, at least what you're claiming to the other person that you're with. If y- Regardless if you are on an app, or you even met someone, I don't know, at a grocery store, or just exercising at the gym, or walking at a park, or whatever it is, regardless of how that happens, you still can be sneaky. And so for me, there's no rhyme or reason that if I'm saying, hey, we're in a relationship, there's no rhyme or reason that you can give me on why you still decided to go out of the relationship, even if it's for conversation, when you know that you are definitely in one.
That's exactly true.
Regardless if you're on an app or not. It doesn't make a difference. And you don't need an app, or you don't need somebody there, or even the person that you're with you 24 hours to remind you that you're in a relationship, if you're really truly committed and in a relationship, whether if you're talking to someone through an app or not. Because the thing is that, okay, and for in a lot of cases, people aren't honest about the relationships that they're in. They're not honest. And
Oh,
so, and they go
come
and
on! I'm sorry.
they
I'm
go
sorry.
and they pursue other relationships anyway, or other people. I don't need to sit behind you, or babysit you, or hold your hand to remind you that you're in a relationship, whether if you on the app or not.
That is true. But I feel like social media is kind of pushing that into today's world more than it ever was, because I feel like it has, I'm not saying it's all of it, but I feel like it's at least a 50% increase of the reason. Because it's a lot easier to go on your phone and go find somebody to have a conversation with or meet up with now than it would be, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago.
It makes cheating easier. It makes it easier, but it definitely very much existed. I mean, that's why a lot of us got, and I'm not saying
And
this is for you, but that's why a lot of us, I know for me personally, like my great grandfather, he got kids upon kids. He was married and had kids out of his out of his marriage. Okay. And so it was definitely, I think it's more accessible to be able to
yes,
go online and find somebody. But if a person doesn't have self control, and they don't have respect for the relationship that they're in, it doesn't make a difference on whether or not, if I meet you online or offline, we in a relationship. At least we're supposed to be. So all that, with, okay, blaming it on social media, no, because that's your own self
no,
control.
I'm
You
not
have
blaming
to
on
control it.
media. That's
Go
not,
ahead.
no. I'm making it a point that it just makes it a lot more accessible.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. I definitely agree with that. 10 toes down. Okay, let me get back to your comment. It says it's a difference because so many people seek advice from social media, not knowing they are opening up the doors for people to mislead them with false information. That is very, very true. That is
You
very,
better
very
come
true.
through, Savage.
That part.
I'm just saying, you got situations where somebody will go trying to ask for advice on social media, and then you got that bit of friend that really secretly wants your man or
Hey,
your woman
lady.
that'll sit there and tell you your man or woman is doing you wrong, when in fact it's just a lie because they want your man or your woman.
Now, if we tie God back into this, and that's something I will do all the time, especially when you're married. When you dating and y'all just like in a little relationship, that is what it is. I think when you're in a relationship, that gives you a chance to see people for who they are, what they are. Okay, because likely if this is who they are during this relationship, when you get married, they still gonna be all of who they gonna be.
Exactly.
Okay. This is why it's so important for me personally to be equally yoked. And then having
Mm,
been married and have learned the
mm.
lesson on top of the many relationships that I didn't have no business being in. That's the thing. If you're dating to marry, the first person you go to, Lord, whatever it is I need to know about this person, expose it. Show me, expose it, and I promise you, I ain't gonna push back. Yeah, I like him. Yeah, he fine. Yeah, he got a job. He probably got his own place, but Lord, expose him because I need to be able to see who this person is.
Mm,
I
mm.
need to know who this person is. And that's if we're keeping God in it. Because, and you want to, really, you want to with any relationship, but especially romantic. Especially
Mm.
romantic. If that's a lesson I learned a few times over, I'm telling you. And so you're right. You don't go and run the social media. And honestly, everybody don't need to know everything. That's how I feel.
Facts.
Everybody don't need to know everything because I've seen situations where you go and you tell your friend about the relationship problems that's happening between you and your man, and then your friend is trying to push up on your man.
Come
And so
on.
everybody don't need to know everything because there is some snakes in the grass, and the enemy does plant people in your life to what? Seek, kill, destroy,
Hmm.
and oftentimes distract.
Hmm.
And I think too, another thing too is paying attention on how you get your person, because they
Oh
often say
yeah.
how you get them is how you could also lose them.
Oh yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
1000%. 1000%.
Facts.
Pay attention to all of it. Pay attention to all of it. And if it walk like a duck, it quack like a duck, Aflac. It's a duck.
Affleck.
I believe
All
people
of
for
that.
what they show me. Now, it doesn't mean that people can't change. People can change. We all change. We're supposed to grow. Evolution, right? We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to become better people. But going back just to the whole thing concerning social media, I'm not going to sit here and hold your hand and remind you that okay, you're in a relationship. Yeah, it's accessible, it's easy, but you have to have self-control over what it is that you do. And if you have no self-control, now I see it. So now I see it, and now I get to make a conscious choice and decision on whether or
Yep.
not if I still want to deal with you. And now
Yep.
from that, if you got to be sneaky, I already know right there. We are not equally yoked, baby. This ain't going to work.
Facts.
Because if it's easily accessible, you have no self-control. That means if I do marry you knowing what I know, then I'm setting myself up
Hmm.
because you didn't already show me who you are. I just made a choice not to believe it. And I can't, I mean, for me, everybody is different, but I believe, when God show us people, we supposed to, believe what you're seeing. Believe what you're
What they
seeing.
say when they show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Believe
Listen.
it.
Look,
Believe
I
it,
did. I did. I
girl.
did. That's why I am, well, yeah, single again.
Look,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
okay because I'd rather be single again.
Then miserable in a relationship.
Facts.
That that
Facts.
part, that part,
Facts.
that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part. And so
I think
what's
that's
your
my problem because I'll be quick to dismiss the motherfucker. Like, all right, you got to go.
you will get dismissed real quick and I ain't gonna think twice about it.
No, for real.
I'm not
Seriously.
gonna think twice about it. Ain't nothing to think about. Once I see you for who you are, I believe who you are. Now, if that's you, that's you. If you can get somebody to swing with that, then that's cool. I ain't got a problem. I
In my
do not
opinion,
have a problem.
in
Do
my
you?
opinion, I look at it in the sense of like, if I got rid of my husband, who I'm still legally married to, what weight did you think you was gonna hold?
That part. That part.
Mm.
That part. That part. And so go ahead, Miss Queen Brittany, what's your thoughts on that?
Zebras don't tend to change stripes. That's all I know.
Exactly.
Right, right, right,
That part.
right. Now
Takes a
I
special
always go
person to
ahead.
be things happen, and usually that person happened to be God. So,
Right.
it, I mean, they don't always grow like men don't grow as fast as we do. Everybody knows that. Men don't happen. They don't have the ability. They don't have the ability to grow as quickly as we do, and they definitely are known for not being as emotional of creatures as we are. But
I
there's
don't know.
no excuse for the crap. For there's no excuse for the kind of things that occur like that. That's just not. There's no. And I'm
It's
not
funny
saying
that you said
men,
that.
because it ain't just men that do that. There's women that do it too. But I just feel like
Yeah.
there's no real excuse for any of that.
Okay, so I have a question for Miss Brittany. So, what would be a great way to make your significant other feel comfortable to the point where he can now feel like, okay, I could let my guard down and communicate better?
Sitting down and making certain that he knows that you're being very serious and that your heart is definitely purely open for him to be able to talk, because if a man feels that they're not fully able to communicate properly, if they feel any kind of resentment that they have it in their head that they're feeling like, well, they're gonna laugh at me, they're gonna leave me, they're gonna do anything. Like if a man feels that way, they're automatically gonna keep close that they know and just always being there for them. And it might not even be anything huge, it could be something small, but making certain that you're constantly there for them, even if it's not for emotional purposes, is usually a very important thing for them, because men don't always base everything off emotion. And for them, they don't always automatically think emotion when they think about being able to communicate with somebody. So for being able to be there for them, if they're like, I just lost somebody and I don't know what to do, and you're like, well, I don't know what to help you with, and being able to like sit there with them and let them have whatever they need to get off their chest, or whatever they need to say, or whatever they need to feel, as long as they're not doing it in a toxic way, because there are some guys that do it in a pretty toxic way, because a lot of people don't like going to therapy for anything. And it's kind of basically like being a therapist, more or less, for them to be able to trust you without calling it a therapy session.
I
I've
think that
always
goes
been a,
back. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've always been the person that I'll listen to anything and everything everybody's got to say. And that's made people quite comfortable to be able to open up to me about things they've never even opened up to their own parents about, and all that kind of thing. And it's a basis of being able to really just listen and give them the time, because sometimes they need the time to be able to like figure out whether they're going to trust or not enough to open up. And it's
And
really
go ahead.
it gets frustrating, but sometimes that's really important key for a lot of things for men.
I believe that I piggybacking off of what Janaea said, that is why healing is so important. Healing is so important. It took my years of isolation, the time that God put me in by myself to really understand that. That's why healing is so important, because if you have, and I believe insecurities ties back to that as well, and I believe insecurities also ties back to trauma. If you are, if you have things that you have not healed from, things that you know that can affect your present, that can
Mm-hmm.
affect your present circumstance, your present situation, relationship, you have no business being
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship. You
Mm-hmm.
have no business, because your insecurities from past relationships should not be thrown on new
In
ones.
the current situation, yeah.
It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. And so, and that's where it also takes a sense of self-awareness, which a lot of people do not have. A lot of people
And they
are
don't
not
want it. There's
self-aware.
people that don't even
They
want
don't
it.
want it. Yeah, they don't even want it. Like, what responsibility, huh? What's that? You know what I mean? Like some of
I
these
feel
things
like
are
a lot of
scary to them.
generations that are coming up are not being taught proper communication skills to themselves. Like people are not teaching our children, and there's people that aren't teaching their children these days like proper communication, and
And so
that's
yeah, that's
kind
a
of going
problem
to
right
affect
there.
them dramatically when it comes to relationships in their future. And that to me is very sad because our kids are our future, our tomorrow, our everything. And if they're not being taught proper communication skills, then who's to say they're going to even have a proper relationship with their own children, let
Mm-hmm.
alone a significant other?
And that's true, and that's true, and that's why it's important, because our children are a reflection of us, right? Our children are a reflection of the home that they come from. I had to learn this. I learned this before I even had my kids. That you'll have people and they'll be like, they don't normally act like this. They don't norm. That's not how they act. They know better. Yeah, no, yes, they do. That's why they're comfortable doing it, because they are a reflection of us. Now, kids are kids, right? People are people, and that is going to remain the same. That's never going to change, because they do have independence where they start doing stuff that maybe they weren't taught, or they start saying stuff that they know that they weren't taught to say, or were saying that is it's not okay. But it doesn't take away from the fact that if you want to know what type of household that somebody comes from, what type of situation, what type of past relationship they come from, all you got to do is look at their behavior, because their behavior will show you that. Their
Every
behavior will show you that every
time.
single time. And so, but and that's why it's important to heal, because it's important to make sure that we are healed, or at least going through a healing journey, so that we can show our children, hey, this is how you heal, and this is how you come out of trauma. This is how you come out of a certain mindset. This is how you do it. It doesn't mean that they won't go through their own life experiences. They very much will. They're people. But this is how you do it. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to what we are showing our kids and who we are exposing our children
Children
to,
too.
even ourselves. Even ourselves. I like me. I don't call everybody my friend. You somebody I know, you somebody I'm cool with, but I don't call
Mhm.
everybody my friend, because that holds a lot of weight to me.
Yeah.
And so if we in any type of relationship, and or we're friends, or or you my man, or whatever it is, and I find that your insecurities, or even my insecurities, shoot, even if it was me, my insecurities are is reflecting on this relationship and it's getting negative, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. That's like me. God exposed this about me the other night. I'm sitting here like, I'm always like, Lord, I'm ready to get married. 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 And then God shows me, it's not time yet. You need to fix this. Your attitude still goes 0 to 10 real quick. You still can fight. You be wanting to put your hands on people. And so for me, okay, there's still some things in me that I have to heal. There's some things in me that I have to deal with. There's some things in me that needs to be fixed before God can send me what it is that I keep asking for. And that also goes back into that being that whole unequally yoked thing. And so I there's nothing wrong. People go through what they go through. People go through life. There's nothing wrong with being there for the person that you're with, but we also have a responsibility, not only to that person, but to ourselves, to heal. We have a responsibility. If you want to be in a relationship, you have a responsibility to make sure you're healed. You have a responsibility to make sure that you got those insecurities fixed, whatever those might be.
Yep.
Because if we're in a relationship and you know, and I'm telling you that I love you, I don't have to, I could validate it all the time. I could affirm it all the time. But if you know what you know to be true, then I don't have to. I don't have to validate and come in and be like, okay, I love you this much and all of this, because it'll help you feel comfortable and it'll help you
Yep.
feel
Because
good whenever
I, used
I can't
I,
do that.
I felt like I had to do that for a long time, and come to realizing I didn't have to do that at all. I mean, he's like, I already know all of that. And I'm like, but I want to make certain that you do. He's like, I wouldn't still be standing here if I didn't believe that.
Mm.
And a lot of times people do it without even realizing that too. Like they sit there and try validating to make certain that the other person knows, but the other person already does know. A lot of times they'll walk away if they don't.
Right,
And
right. And that's the thing. And even, whether if you're validating someone or someone asking for validation, somebody who always constantly needed. If I always have to constantly remind you that I love you, then one, you don't believe that I do, that I love, that I care about you, that I like you, whatever it is. One, you do not believe that I do. Especially if you've made it a habit where this is all the time. And two, there's something in yourself that's not healed. There's an insecurity, something within yourself that needs to be fixed before we can go on and before we can move on. And again, it's a responsibility to self, and it's about being self aware. You have to be aware of who you are, especially before you go into relationships. And I said this the other night, it's if you go into a relationship and you're not healed, that's going to affect the relationship that you have. It don't matter if it's friends, family, romantic, whatever it is. It does not matter. Those insecurities will become a problem in the relationship that you have if you don't fix it. If you don't fix, what could be a problem in any relationship, in any future relationship. So I don't know. That's where I stand on it. That's where I stand on it. But then again, this is why I think it's important to be equally yoked. Miss Queen Unique, you've been quiet over there. What's your thoughts?
I've just been listening to everything. I agree with what everybody says. Communication is important in a relationship for sure. If you don't, if neither person can communicate, then there's really nothing that can be salvaged, in my opinion, about that. Um, Also, yeah, you just gotta fight for what you want. If you get to the point to where it's not worth fighting, then that means that the relationship has ran its course. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with what everybody else has said.
Exactly. 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 My point exactly. Hurt people. And it becomes a habit, and it becomes a habit that doesn't need to be one if you just go and
Okay,
seek killing.
that part. That
If
part.
you seek killing, and if you're self-aware enough, you know that, okay, probably I don't need to be in a relationship right now. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
probably you have to be aware.
The sucky part about that is people. A lot of people do
What's
not
up, cuz?
know. A lot of people do not know how to be alone.
No, no,
They
they
don't.
don't.
So
No, they do
they
not.
go
No.
from person to person to person, which
Yep.
then translates into victim to victim to victim because you hurting people who
Yep.
ain't done shit to you
Yep.
for what? To make yourself feel better when ultimately you can't look yourself in the mirror because you know you fat. You a piece of shit,
Yep.
but you don't want to accept it and you don't want to go to therapy because you know a therapist is going to see through your bullshit and they're going to
Mhm.
call you on the carpet and they're going to make you look in the mirror and that bitch is going to shatter because of what's
Yep.
looking back at them and you don't want to face it. So it's easy to put the blame on something and someone else and keep repeating your same damaging patterns and hurting people who have done nothing to you.
Yep.
But
Yep.
ultimately, when it comes down to it, you gonna have to pay for all of that.
All of it.
All of it.
Mhm. Cuz you reap what you sow.
Listen,
So if that's what you putting in the ground, then that's what you're gonna get. That's the harvest that's coming. That's the harvest that's coming. You reap what you sow, and so and ain't no way around that. Go ahead.
Nah.
But also with that is what goes around comes around. So while you jolly jolly doing it to other people, when you decide to settle down and that person do that to you, now they wrong.
Oh, facts. But see, look, I just saw a post that said, "Want to make somebody mad? Accept what they've done to you and go be happy." People hate when they can't destroy you. And baby, when I tell you, listen, and I can only use this because it's just recent, sweetheart. When I tell you, yeah, my feelings was hurt for a little bit, but baby, I have laughed, smiled, and just gone on about life like, damn. Like, bitch, you know you ain't do nothing wrong. You know you didn't. So you know what? You forgot who you was for a split second. No worries. It's cool. Pick yourself up and get back at it. Get
And
back
keep
at it.
going.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. If you choose, again, and I'm saying this because you do have a choice. You can't say that you don't have a choice, regardless of who it is, what it is. If somebody shows you them and you choose to proceed anyway, then you are choosing to accept the behavior that comes with it. I posted something the other day, and it's still true. I said that if you go to the circus and you get mad when you see a clown, you go to the circus and you get upset when you see a clown at the circus who's supposed to be in the doggone circus. They are a part of the performance. So if a clown show you that they a clown, then what are you expecting? But if you stay there and decide to stay with it and to deal with it, then you are choosing to accept this behavior that they are showing you. And so that's just, that's my thoughts on it. Somebody show you who they are, believe them. But if you make a choice to still stay, then that's, hey, whatever works for you. Whatever works for you, whatever helps you sleep at night. But I do believe that, we have choices, and we have a lot more of them than what we think we do. Especially when it comes to relationships. Go ahead.
I think a lot of the problem is a lot of, I'm going to say women because I can only speak for women. A lot of women seem to forget that they were born alone and they're going to die alone. So they get that comfort in getting so comfortable having that person in their lives just to say, hey, I got this man. That they don't really care what's going on within that relationship. The man could be beating you upside the head, this, that, and the third, and you fear, okay, what may happen once he's out of my life, that they stick in that situation for so long.
Yes. Facts. And I think that's for a lot of relationships. I know for me, that's something I can definitely testify on. I stayed with my ex-husband for 9 years. I said the problem is when we ended our marriage, when we were separated, legally separated. Hey Denise, hey girl, when we were legally separated, I admitted I already knew what it was. I don't like this dude. I got some love for him, but I really don't like him. But I wanted to stay in it because I had got comfortable with the discomfort and the dysfunction and the marriage that we had. I just didn't want to have to go off and find nobody else because I was already used to that. I was used to that, and I was willing to stay in something that I knew I didn't have no damn business being in. None, zero whatsoever.
Right. And also, when you have kids with a person and you're a strong believer on wanting to keep your family together, it also kind of blinds you to a lot of the nonsense that goes on in the relationship.
And sometimes you're not even blind. Sometimes you're not even blind. You see it. You know it's there. But because you want that title, but because y'all been together for so long, but because
Right.
I love him, I'm gonna say no, 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 no. If I look,
I think
if Tina Turner ain't teach us nothing else, what she say? What's love got to do with it?
I think my biggest
Got a whole
thing
lot if there ain't nothing worth it.
I think my biggest thing and why I stayed with my kid's father slash husband for so long was the fact that I grew up without my biological father, and the fact that I have a daughter. I didn't want that on my daughter. I've always wanted that male role model for my daughter, for my sons, and for that family look for my daughter.
Mhm. Mhm. That's me. I mean, I've learned this a lot, especially in 23 with different relationships, not even just romantic, but in 23, I learned a lot and I had to cut some people off. I even spoke about this on the show. I've had to cut some people off. I've learned that I love you, right? And I can love you and I ain't got nothing but love for you. But I can love you from a distance. I'll
Mm.
pray for you and all those things, but I will love you from a distance. And again, this has been in romantic relationships, so-called friendships that I've had, family. I can love you from a distance. I know, and I'm grown enough to say that I don't care what kind of time we got together. If this is not working, it's not working. Everybody is not meant to be around for the long ride. Some people are seasonal people, and truly strongly believe that. I don't care what kind of time we have in. Sometimes you are just a seasonal person. I learned what I needed to learn from you. You learn what you need to learn from me, and that's it. Let's keep it pushing. I ain't got nothing but love for you. But if it ain't fitting, I ain't gonna try to make it. Once it's ran its course, it's ran its course. When it's done, it's done.
Oh.
And so go ahead, Miss Queen Brittany. We didn't went off on a whole tangent. What other type of tips do you have personally for making a relationship last, for a long while?
Well, respect for the other partner is also a thing that seems to be falling in relationships in this day and age. Um, there's a lot of key factors. Everybody knows that relationships that are powerful and strong and they last forever are definitely, there's a lot of key factors that are very important. We touched on communication, but respect is also something that is faltering. And respect is something that definitely has to be there. If there's not respect in the relationship on both sides for each other, for the relationship itself, and for what the two of you want to hold into your future, and you have to, and it's more or less being able to have the same respect for each other. There can't be somebody have just one side having respect, the other side not caring, and the one person having to hold all that weight is just it just becomes way too much. It's very stressful. It tears the person down physically, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even financially when they have to hold all that weight by themselves because the other person isn't being respectful of any disposition that might occur or arise in the relationship. I myself, I was in a spot where I felt like I was not being respected as a human being, let alone the girlfriend or um anything. And I was like, I couldn't do it anymore. And I sat there and like I said, I've had to communicate with him on a lot of different levels for a lot of different things in the last year alone. And it's made a huge difference. And now I
Mm,
feel like he hears what I say because I sat there and I'm like, we have to have some kind of respectable situation here because this isn't going equally anything. And as Shante says, equally yoked is important. But when the respect isn't equal, the communication isn't there. It tears the relationship apart. Those are the two like large factors that just tear everything apart. Because if you're not completely honest, if you're not respecting yourself, respecting your partner, and respecting your relationship enough to be like, okay, well, I'm not feeling this works anymore, but you're leading that person on
mm.
because you're not wanting to communicate. That's not respectful to any part of that whole entire the whole entire relationship itself.
But that right there in itself is a big thing with being equally yoked, right? Because it doesn't mean that you won't disagree.
Right.
We're human, right? We're not going to agree on everything, but that respect, if you love me, you ain't even got to like me that day. But if you love me enough
Yep.
and or you care about me or whatever it is, being respectful shouldn't even be a second thought. That shouldn't be. That should just flow. That should just flow like our native language. That should just be something we're able to do. Yeah, I'm mad at you, but no matter how mad I am at you, I still respect you, or I love you enough to not be disrespectful to you. And so that for me personally goes back into that whole thing with being equally yoked. Yeah, we are yeah, we like I said, we're all human and we all have our moments. But because I love you enough and I care about you enough in our relationship, before I get disrespectful, I'm gonna step away and I'm gonna take some time to myself. That way I can communicate to you effectively.
And that's the part that gets a lot of people to the point where they're like, okay, well then I'm done. And that is, it's very hard to deal with and to like comprehend sometimes. But a lot of people will walk away at that point. Like, oh, well, you're just saying that you need to have your space, you need to have your time. Then I guess we're done then, right? Because you don't want to be with me. And a lot of people are in that mindset these days. A lot of people are.
And that's really
And that,
that shows you the lack of maturity.
yep, because there's not that much of it today. There's just not.
Yeah, that shows you the lack of maturity. If I can't collect myself and get myself together, if I can't
But I,
keep myself calm before I say something to you because I don't want to disrespect you, I don't want to say something wild or crazy because I can't take it back. Once it's out there, it's out there. And so, but if your first thought is, okay, well, if you just because you need to collect yourself or whatever it is, then that means you don't want to be with me or you don't like me or whatever it is, then if that's really what your mind frame is, if that's really where you're at, you have no business being in a relationship anyway. That shows you the lack of maturity that they
yep, and
don't have.
a couple of people that because I've had people like, well, does that mean that he doesn't want to be with me? That's not what that means. That means he respects you enough as a person and as the person he wants to be with to tell you that he needs a minute to collect his own self so that that way he doesn't spit out venom that is going to completely annihilate anything that you could have for a future because they need that time. And I had to deal with that. I've had to deal with that plenty of times. And I never
Mm.
once sat here and like, oh, well, he doesn't want to be with me because he's having a moment. I'm like, okay, good. I'm thankful every time because I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. That makes me feel like he does actually care. Because
Mm.
for a while I wasn't sure whether he did or not. I wasn't. I was always in and out of trying to figure out whether he actually cared and whether he was being genuine or not.
But actions, when actions show for me, I believe less of what you're telling me and more of what I see. I believe less of what you're telling me and more what I see. I believe your actions. And another thing for me, again, tying back into the Bible, the Lord is not one of confusion. He is not a God of confusion. And so for me, if at any point I'm confused about that, I'm confused on whether or not if you love me or the love you have for me is true, or I'm confused about what it is that we're doing, that lets me know right there, this is not it, because God does not come in confusion and chaos.
That
So
part.
if God
That part.
he's not coming in confusion and chaos.
That
So
part
because
right
he's
there.
not, I know that okay, yeah, this is real chaotic. This is full of drama. This ain't it.
Mm.
I love you, but bye. I love
Exactly.
you, but I love the Lord first. Like I love you, but I
You
know
got
I'm
here,
not
God
about to
gonna be the
be
first when I go.
period. Period. And so I don't know because he's not a God of confusion. For me, if I have to question on whether or not if you really love me, then this ain't it. This ain't gonna
There ain't
work.
no point in it. There was never nothing there to begin with. Exactly.
There's no point.
If you ever
But
had felt that
go ahead.
trust that you need to let it go, just like Elsa said, let it go. That wasn't meant for you anyway.
But
Sorry, I
it,
love it.
it's hard when you feel like you are talking to a wall constantly.
Oh my gosh, yes, that is just. Whew, yeah. Yeah.
I know me when it comes to all relationships, I'm very careful, very very careful. I have been the person who has stand on guard. You know, I cuz I'm expecting something.
Yeah.
Then I had more expectation in people than I do the Lord. So, we're people, right? That's
Yeah.
it. We're just people. We're going to people. Right? We're I my expectation I switched my expectation from expecting or depending on certain things from humans, then and I put it all on God. I put it all on God because I'm like, you know what? Like Jadea was saying earlier, yeah, this hurt, but nah, I'm gonna bounce back. I'm gonna come back real quick because I'm good. Because it's yeah, you did that. Yeah, that was wrong, but I needed to see that.
Listen, and when I tell
So
you,
it's better to have
I
them quick.
I never I never used to be one, when they say to get up with somebody, get up underneath somebody else. Now, I
Right.
understand that now at 35, and here's why. I always said that if you jump from person to person to person, that becomes a problem. And that only becomes a problem when you don't know who you are as a person.
Right.
So for me, it's like,
Right.
okay, yeah, I'm hurt. But if I meet somebody and they say, okay, when was your last relationship? And I say, well, it was just a little bit ago. But yeah, it hurt my feelings. But let me tell you something. I'm interested. Like, I'm not about to stay down because I got the confirmation that I needed. Again, yeah, my feelings is a little hurt, but you know
Right.
what? I know for a fact that I didn't do anything wrong. What happened,
Right.
I asked for. I asked for the confirmations. My gut was
And you
kicking me
got
through
it.
my back, down my throat for a week straight. So it was like, Janaea, you're not tripping. You're not.
Mhm.
You're not tripping. So when you ask questions and all of a sudden you're confused by what I'm asking and now you don't understand, you ain't never been confused when we didn't have no problems. But now all of a sudden you confused, you don't understand. I'm speaking clear English, bruh. What you mean? What you mean? But you know what? It's all good. You have a great
Right.
life. I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm gonna go ahead and bow down gracefully and leave now because
And leave.
I'm
Period.
too solid of a woman. I'm too loyal. I'm too upfront to put up with anything that's
Mm-hmm.
going to have me to question you. The minute I start having to question you and you
It's a
switch up
problem.
on me, I know something is fucking wrong. And I know you doing some shit that you ain't got no business. So you know what? I'm not about to stick around to find out. I wish you the best,
Yep.
and I'm gonna go ahead and leave now. Thank you for
Exactly.
everything, but I'm gone. Appreciate you.
A lot.
Exactly.
Appreciate
Because here's the thing. If I choose to deal with you, then that means that's like a domino effect, right? You didn't show me who you are, but I made the conscious choice to deal with you. Now I know that my attitude can go 0 to 10. I know that I can get to the point where I want to put my hands on you. I know I can get there. Then that means that I'm ready and willing to accept everything else that happens after. I am willing to accept everything else that happens after. No, I'm not going to do that because I've come too far to let somebody who I know I'm not equally yoked with to take me out of my character. You're not pushing me to be my best self. I'm literally going to be falling back. And that's not anything that me personally, I didn't came too far. I didn't came
Yep.
way too far. And if you getting me out of my character, if you got me saying some stuff I probably don't need to be saying, and not even you, but me just responding that way because I know because you doing dirty or you doing whatever it is that you're doing, that's a problem. That's a huge, huge problem. And that goes back again to not being equally yoked. The Lord is not one of confusion. I'm not mad at you. I'm glad you showed me, but goodbye. I'm straight. I'm good.
I hit the dismiss button sometime too. Yep. There's certain things you just don't. You just don't.
All right. So this question is to our guests here. Why is it hard for people to be upfront from the beginning? What's your thoughts on that?
Because they think that somebody else is looking for a whole different ball of wax than what they're trying to, than what they actually would be able to bring to the table. They're like, oh, well, they're
Explain.
expecting to be like this superstar over here. They want a man that has all this money. They want a man or a woman that has all these fancy things and all this and all. Today's world expects a lot of things from people.
Mhm. For me personally, I think it's just because people want what they want.
That
That's what I believe. They
Yep.
want what they want. And when you do want what you want, even if it means lying or not, not just being totally upfront and honest, you want what you want and you stick around until you do it, until you get it.
Get
And
everything.
again, for me, because a lot of this is so spiritual, especially when it comes to finding a potential kingdom spouse. A lot of this is so spiritual that, and I will sing this until the cows come home, just as well as God can give vessels and put vessels into your life. The enemy does
Oh,
too.
and
hello, hello.
The enemy does too. This is a spiritual thing, right? We know that he hates everything God. He hates everything the Lord does. And he especially hates union between husband and wife. So, okay, now I'm going to send you this plant. I'm going to plant this person in your life to portray something that I know you want, right? Because the enemy can send vessels. So I'm going to put this person in your life. I'm going to make you fall head over heels for him. I'm going to make you I'm going to put you in a position where you can be vulnerable with this person, and then they're going to switch up on you. But because I know you want somebody so much, because I know you want to be in a relationship, I know that you're going to stick with them. I know that you're going to be there with them. And then you go and you get married. And now your marriage is toxic. Now there's things inside your marriage that is not of God because you were willing to sacrifice your
Yep,
peace, your sanity. You are willing
yep.
to sacrifice the path, the will that God has out for you because I showed you who this person was. He was an industry plant, right? This person was, that's what we're gonna call him. They was an industry plant. They was put in there to trip you up, and you failed the test. You fell for it.
yep.
You fell for it, and now you're married. So now not only are you married, now you're in covenant. Now you're in covenant because see, all marriages are not God ordained marriages.
Yep. I agree with that.
All marriages aren't God ordained. So now you're in covenant and you're married to this person that you can't get out. Or you can't. We're not supposed to get out of these marriages unless under these circumstances. There are certain circumstances where we can. But again, to avoid that whole domino effect, I need to know all of who you are. When I meet you, I'll tell you straight up in front. The purpose for this is for me to get married. And if you tell me straight up front, all right, well, I just want a cuddy buddy. I'm just trying to hunch, then cool. I'm glad you told me that, but at least I know. But in the famous words of Cat Williams, nobody knows why liars lie.
That
Nobody
right
knows
there.
why
Oh,
liars lie.
They try to
amen.
hide. That's what they're doing.
Huh?
Hiding their truths and hiding secrets that they think are something worth keeping.
Facts.
But for them it is. For them it is. For them it is. It definitely is. And that's why they do it. And again, I think it's just a selfish reason. On top of that, the enemy go, okay, yeah, you keep praying for it. Well, hey, here you go. I can speak to that personally. I know I've prayed for some things, and shoot, even when I prayed for a man, and then I got a husband out of it, and he was not it, not even a little bit, not even a little bit. But that's why it's so important to pay attention, especially before you get to the point of being married. Especially when you get before you get to that point.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I'm taking it as slow as I've been taking it. Because I mean, I want marriage. Marriage is like always been a thing. I had my life planned out by the time I was 4 years old. I had everything set. I was gonna be married at this age. I was gonna have these
Oh
kids
yeah,
at
for
this
sure.
age. I had the whole entire thing. I still have the hope for getting married. I do call him my husband. We are not legally married, but we want to be one day. And I've actually come to the conclusion it is something that is on the table. It's just a fear of the fear of the actual action that is the problem. So for me, I'm sitting here like I completely understand that. My parents got divorced when I was young, and my parents, my grandpa, like my one grandparent's track record ain't the greatest either. My father got married 4 times, so I understand where he's coming from, and I'm gonna do what I got to do to be patient because patience, I'm not gonna lie to you, is something that I didn't really have very much of not that long ago. So I didn't
I
wasn't I didn't realize that it wasn't on the table. I thought it wasn't on the table for a long time, and come to realize that no, it really is there. It's just a fear factor, which comes into having patience, and patience is a virtue that is disappearing in today's world.
really quickly, that's the thing. That's the thing, Francis. A lot of people don't know how to communicate, and that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. You cannot communicate what you want, what you don't want, what your likes are, what your dislikes are. You can't communicate those things, which lets me know that you have a barrier. You have a barrier somewhere. The line of communication is not working for you. But before we can proceed, I need for you to go and learn how to communicate. I need for you to go and seek help, to get counseling, to do something because that's one of the biggest key factor in any relationship, right? Is communication. We need to be able to talk back and forth with each other. Like Alex said the other night, you what do you say about the grown folks conversation? You have to have grown folks conversation. You have to have conversations that you're uncomfortable with. And that means without getting without letting your feelings get hurt or getting offended easily because a lot of people get offended real easily, which is also another self problem. You have to be able to sit and actually actively listen. Yeah, some people sit there so just so they can have a chance to respond to what you're saying, not because they're actually listening and taking in what you're saying. They
Yep.
just want to be able to say something first. And so that's where that communication comes in. And a lot of people, especially a lot of adults, have that barrier. They have that problem where they just cannot communicate. And if you communicate something to them, they immediately get offended.
And disappear sometimes and everything. Yeah.
They disappear, they get offended, their feelings get hurt. Now all of a sudden you all types of bees and hoes and all this extra stuff
Mm.
because you can't take the fact that I am only simply just communicating with you, which we should be able to do being two grown adults.
Yep.
And I think that's where, like, I'm getting to the point now where I'm starting to shut down
Yeah.
because I've spent time trying to communicate, and it's like, again, that brick wall I'm talking to.
Mhm.
Um, so it's like because I don't know what angle to read you in because you have everything so guarded. So it's like
Confusion. Yep.
now I'm starting to shut down and get back to the all right, I'm done talking stage because I'm talking to a wall.
And it's best to even just to get out of it altogether. Because if I stay in it any longer, then I'm causing issues and traumas and problems for myself because now I'm getting to a point that where I've gotten past that where I'm shutting down. I've gotten past that where okay, I'm gonna be here and I'm a deal with it knowing I really don't have to. Now I'm back there, and that's a problem. That's even more reason. You know what? I ain't got nothing but love for you. I really do. I really, really do. But because I love myself too, but because I know this is not what I want to go through, I gotta say bye.
Awesome.
And that's another thing too, because then when I elaborate to him and I'm like, listen, like you don't know how to communicate. And for me, being in a situation with my kid's father where he lacked communication for 12 years of us being together, it's like that red flag is like, all right, get your shit and go. Get your shit and go. So now when I get to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm done, you can go on about your way. That's when you want to, but babe, that's not what I want. I love you and I'm willing to communicate. You just got to help me. But then when I get to the point where it's like, listen, you have to want it for yourself before I can help you. Then I'm saying something wrong to you.
Mommy, both snap together. Yes. I agree 1,000%. I agree 1,000%. That's something you have to, because the thing is, if it's meant to work, if we're meant to be together, it'll be together. Nothing, no man nor woman will stop whatever it is that God is doing.
As
And
planned, yep.
so if it's planned. And so if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But I love you enough to say, hey, this is a problem here. And I need for you to go and make sure that that problem is fixed before you try getting into anybody's relationship or marriage. I need for you to go and heal that part of yourself before you try coming over to me. Because it won't do anything, like I said, but be a domino effect. And I don't know about y'all ladies, but that's something I cannot afford to do. I'm 34 years old. I'm gonna be 35 here. And I got kids. I didn't been married. I didn't been divorced. I didn't been through these things. I've learned these lessons. I can't afford to go back. Under no circumstance can I afford to pedal backwards. And so when it comes to relationships, especially romantic, and come, to meeting people and talking to guys and things like that. Oh no, I'm paying attention to everything. I'm paying attention to how you hold a conversation. I'm paying attention to the fact if you're just a bum. I'm paying attention to the fact that if you one of them people that be like, oh yeah, I believe in God, but I only go to church on holidays. I'm paying attention to all of that.
Yeah.
Now,
Because
question.
go ahead.
What if, like, okay, for my example, in the talking stages, communication was great up until I say maybe 2-3 months ago, and we just hit a year mark, Christmas Eve.
Oh, see, I've been
So
together for a bit.
yeah, so it's like, okay, up until 2-3 months ago, you stood on what you spoke. So it's like, okay, now that your true colors, I guess I'm gonna call it, has presented itself, what's the best advice?
For me personally, for me, this is just coming from me. I think Unique might have something to say too, but I personally believe that first of all, I would pray on it. That's the first thing. I would definitely pray on it.
Always, yep.
And the second thing is that if you're getting to a point where you personally are going into a spot where you're closing down, where you're kind of like you're over it, where you're like, okay, I'm just not going to say anything, then for yourself, I would back off. I would back off. And you know what? Let me have my time and you have your time. And then I'ma
Do it.
pray, you pray, Imma start going through my healing, you start going through your healing, and then we'll come back together and figure out if this is what we want. And that's where I stand on it. Let's figure out if that's what we want. And I'd rather we do this now than another year go by, or another year go by, or another year go by, or even months go by. And we're
Got
in
more
this
emotion.
toxic, on this toxic roller coaster. But the only reason why you're staying together is because of time. Because that's a bad place to be in. Like, yeah, we got time together, but this is not right. Yeah, we got time together, but this is real toxic. Yeah, I love you, but nah, I can't accept this.
Too
And that's
many,
how I
too
feel.
many people in this generation have made toxic the new love, have
Oh
made
yeah.
drama the new love, have
Yeah, for
made
sure.
cheating popular. All of that shit is raggedy.
Mhm.
Toxicity is not love. It's not. And the thing I hate about it, people who maneuver like that, who like the drama, who like the stress, who go back and forth. If we being honest, they have nothing else.
Can you mute for me, Brittany, so we can hear her? Okay, go ahead, Julia.
They've got nothing else to focus on to make them feel relevant, because toxicity brings problems. Toxicity brings entertainment, if you will. You know, for instance, like these reality TV shows. If there's no drama, it wouldn't be a reality TV show. People like drama. People like, entertainment.
Yep.
Peace, apparently peace is boring. Peace it's not fun. Well, I'll be fucking boring and not fun, because
period.
For one, ain't no drama over here. Ain't no stress over here. Ain't no baggage over here. Like, you're not gonna come over here and bring your bullshit into my life, because I'm not bringing that into yours, because I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Right. That's my thing. And some people are addicted to drama, to self-affliction. They are, and it's sad. It's really,
and
really
that's why they
sad.
make those TV shows nowadays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. Some people are addicted to self-affliction. And then, like I said, I think a lot of things will keep people in these toxic relationships is time. Another thing that keeps them in these relationships is this so-called love that they have for each other. That's what keeps them in these relationships. But my thing is, if somebody, again, is showing you who they are, believe them for what they're showing you. Believe them, because you're only going to be able to hide and and keep those things suppressed for so long. Eventually true colors do show.
And when they show, they're going to sparkle and they're going to shine just like the northern lights.
It's gonna show. It's gonna show. And so if you're showing me that's who you are, if you're showing me that you're mean under stress, if you're showing me that you like to just cuss people out and you're rude, okay, I now I know. If you're showing me that you're disrespectful to little old women who are driving slow down the road, if you're showing me all these things, this gives me an insight on what to look forward to or not to if I decide to cut it off. But the thing is, when these behaviors are showed to you and you proceed anyway, you are aware. You look, you read the little fine small print and decided to keep going anyway. Decide to keep going anyway. But again, for the people who are addicted to the self-affliction, to people who are addicted to the drama, they don't care that toxic comes with the relationship. They don't care that toxicity comes with the person because they like that. And it's sad, especially when you get older, but they like that. And whatever works for you works for you. But I know me, for one, personally, I'm not that. I like my peace. I like my peace. I like uh um things being fine and calm. I don't need to argue and do all that extra stuff. I'm getting too old for that. What's your question? Do you ladies believe when they say if a man doesn't respect his mother, he would never respect his woman? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. 10 toes down.
Because the mother is the son's first love. So if you don't respect your first love, you're not going to respect anybody else.
Ever.
That's a good way to tell if somebody got mommy issues.
Whether they have a romantic relationship with that person or they have just a relationship in general. Because if they don't got a good relationship with their mother, it ain't even gotta be just about a woman. They could be horrible toward anybody if they ain't got a good relationship with even their mama. Like that's for sure a real thing.
Yeah, I believe that 10 toes down. If you can't respect your mother, you definitely won't respect me.
And that's one of those signature red flags. Bounce time. That's what I look at. Like, nope. You just seriously sat here and called your mama all those things and said that to her? And then you were like close enough to her face where you was probably spitting in her face. Oh no, I gotta go.
Oh, wait, what?
I've seen a guy do that before where he actually like got toe to toe with his mama and he was cussing at her and calling her all kinds of things. I said, oh no, I gotta go. And he drove too, so I had to walk home. I did not care. There was no problem.
Wow.
Oh, I gotta go. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, no, no, no. Did you just see how you just disrespected your mama? Like, well, I wasn't disrespecting you. Nope. And you're not gonna have the chance. Deuces. I'm out. And I walked my butt home. It was cold outside, but I didn't care because
Yeah.
I knew that was a situation I needed to walk away from right away.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, no. For me personally, no, I'm paying attention to it. I'm paying attention to how you treat your mother. I'm paying attention if you got kids, if you take care of your kids, spend time with your kids. If you say that you're Christian and you have a relationship with God, I'm paying attention to how you pray. I'm paying attention to all of that. All of it. But the first thing I always go on is how do you hold a conversation? Because how you hold a conversation is going to tell me a lot of what I need to know. It's going to tell me a lot of what I need to know. And so for me personally, a lot of it is broken off right there. Like if the only thing you know is WYD or hey, how you doing? Like, nah, you not about to what you doing me to death. No. Can we hold a conversation? Is it going to flow organically? Is it going to be natural? That by itself for me um, is something that I pay attention to right off the bat. And then if it progresses and we move forward, then okay, now I'm paying attention to other things. But if your conversation just isn't right for me, I can't do it. So, do we answer that? Okay, we did answer that. All right, and so do any of you ladies have any other thoughts before we move on?
I would just say if you feel in a certain type of way about your partner, is getting to the point to where you have to question their intentions, or if they're switching up on you, then it's time to question the whole relationship. And if that's something that you really need to be in, because you should feel confident, fully confident about a relationship that you're in. And if you're not fully confident because you feel like the person is switching up, or you feel like something's not right, your gut's not going to steer you wrong. So you need to start just questioning it and really thinking hard about it, so you don't, end up in something that you regret at a later time, or end up in something that you can't get yourself out of.
Mm.
Yep.
So I have a question, and this is to all of you. What is something I've given my thoughts on it? What is something or other reasons that you think keep people in a relationship, even knowing that they're not supposed to be?
A lack of boundaries.
Explain.
People don't set up boundaries in relationships or for themselves to be entering into relationships. And that's the knowing what you're going to, knowing what you're not going to. A lot of people will let other people walk on their boundaries because they're like, okay, well, this is new relationship. So they'll stop doing it after a little while.
Mhm.
And having self respect is one of those things where you have to set up boundaries for all the people in your world, whether it's your children, whether it's your parents, it doesn't matter who the person is. If you don't have boundaries for things, people aren't going to respect you enough to be able to understand that, look, I guess you're not going to put up with this, so I will leave. I have had a lot of people decide that they're not going to want to respect the boundaries that I put up because I've allowed them for so long to just do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And they're like, oh, well, you've let us do it this long. You've let us do it before. And I'm like, oh, no. You see, because this is me waking up and being overwhelmed. And my peace has been broken for long enough. It is my turn to have my peace. My peace will be restored. And I do not mind if I have to lose people along the way because that
Mm-hmm.
was the meant to be here in the first place. people don't put them up anymore. And it's very hard to watch because I've seen a lot of people in their 20s or younger trying to have these relationships or whatever they want to call them. And they don't have any kind of boundaries put up. They don't like, they're not clear on their communicative boundary setting for anything. And that is something that is really important that people don't even talk about. They're like, well, this is what I feel. This is one of my boundaries. Well, this is another boundary I have. If you can't respect them, then this can't go farther. People don't do that. And that's really a key factor in a whole different side of a relationship. So I think lack of boundary is definitely in the cards for that.
Facts. I'm gonna say finances. People need help. People need help. A lot of people cannot and it's not necessarily their fault because society, inflation is high as hell. Jobs are not paying what they need to pay in order to be able to live on your own. So a lot of people get in relationships and stay in relationships because they need the help.
That's very true.
And a lot of people, I'm noticing that a lot more men, and I hate to say it, a lot more men don't have their own more so than women.
Mm-hmm.
So they find women who have their own. And let's be serious, men are stupid. They're not stupid. They know who have their shit together, and they know how to play the game and who to play it with. To make her feel comfortable enough to open herself fully up because she don't want to see him down and out. She don't want to see him hurt. She don't want to see him on the street. So she is going to offer a lot more. Shit, I've done it. I know.
Yeah.
But that's never going to happen again. Never. Like, I will never allow somebody to live with me who did not have their own at first.
Exactly.
Like, nah, you're not. Nope. Nah.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem. Okay, and why do you say that?
I say that because you have manipulators that tell you, oh, ain't no man gonna want you because you got kids. Ain't no woman gonna want you because it is. So they'll try to break you. And they do it so much on a repetitive action that you start to believe it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So, that's another thing that makes men stay in relationships because they start to believe what's been drilled in their heads so many times.
I agree with you. Now, with you saying that, I definitely agree with you on that. I didn't hear it a lot, but I heard it enough for it to sit in the back of my brain where my ex-husband, he goes, ain't nobody gonna want you now. You got 3 kids and you about to be divorced. Ain't nobody gonna want you. And at first I'm just kind of like, and in the heat of the moment of it, hearing these things, you're not thinking nothing of it. I'm not really paying it no mind. Like, I just know you talking crazy. For me, it didn't sink in until I was in that moment of isolation, until I was in that moment where God had me by myself and it was just me and him. I ain't got nobody else to depend on. I ain't got no man that I'm hugged up with and linked up with. It was at that moment for me personally where it had become an issue. But that revealed some things to me about myself. And that's what it was. It's just, being insecure, not being comfortable or even knowing who I was completely, then where I just let what you say affect me, knowing that that's not the truth at all. And so I get that completely. Go ahead, Unique. What's your thoughts on it?
I would say, well, Janaea took one of mine, I should say. No, no, because finance was always the first thing that popped up in somebody's mind. No, but I would say hope. They hope that it would get better. They hope that this person will get better. They hope that the relationship will get better. So they're hanging on to a non-existent hope, a denial hope of hoping that it will get better. So they're staying in there hoping for something that deep down that they know isn't going to happen, but they're still hanging on to that little bit of thread of hope that it will get better, hope that this person will change.
That is very, very true. How many of you have been in a relationship just hoping that this person would be different? I know for me personally, I have a few.
Yeah, I have. So
Or been in a relationship where you try to go in as what do you call it? Captain Save a Hoe, uh build a
Yep.
man, fix a
Yep.
man.
Been there, done that. Been there, done that. Never again. Never again.
hmm
Never again. Do
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yeah. I had
Nah, he
that.
already got to be fixed before I get to him.
Yes, I
Or
had
That
that
that.
part.
Like,
takes too much
oh,
time, too much effort, too much energy, too much of your actual hair. That's yep. It makes your hair turn silver. I'm telling you.
I
Yeah, it'll
can
make your
fix
hair turn
him.
silver. Trying to change a man's
I,
helping it.
I see
No.
his potential. Oh, no, fuck
Mhm.
that. You need to be
Mm-mm.
potential already.
See you.
Already.
You 30.
Okay.
You flies into that stuff. I'm telling you.
It's like Shantae said, trying to play Build a Man, it ain't gonna work.
Right.
Listen,
Cause you
listen.
can't do God's job, baby. You just can't
Look,
do it.
Build a Bay.
No, for real.
I no longer work for Build a Bay. I
That
don't.
part.
Okay.
I don't. That's dead. That's dead.
Right? Dead in the water. I'm trying to tell you,
Dead. Dead.
you a
Dead.
full grown man. You think I'm about to sit here and pacify you? I
Mm-mm.
ain't your
Look,
mama.
the way I look at it is if your mama couldn't do it the right way, can't nobody come and change you.
It's too late.
Facts.
Look, because that's the thing, and that's the thing. You have to want to change and do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, people have a hard time. I'm not going to take away from that. People have a difficult time. They want to change their situations, but they're so far into it that they feel like they can't. They feel like they can't change it. But the thing is that a lot of people also change worth what they see changing for.
Mm-hmm.
So this man will change on his own. You ain't got to push him. You ain't got to tell him you got to change. You ain't got to tell me you got to be better because he see you worth changing for. He
And if
see
not,
you.
I'm okay with that too. Because
I'm okay.
when you look back and you get somebody that you think is better than me, and she turned out to be something completely different, your ass gonna try to come back. But then I'm gonna be unreachable.
That's it. Period.
You're not.
I,
I don't even want you no more. I'm not even entertained by you no more.
But not only
I
do I
feel like
not want you, I know that I'm not supposed to be with you.
That part.
I feel like another factor to that too is people being so scared to break generational curses.
Oh, girl.
What I mean with that is like, oh well, my father wasn't a man, he wasn't a father, so I'm not gonna be a man, I'm not gonna be a father. No,
Girl.
you're supposed
And
to
sometimes they
do
don't even
better
realize
than what your
they're doing
parents
what they're
did.
doing neither.
What'd you say?
I said there are men out there that don't even realize that they're starting to do that when they're doing it. Like they don't even realize because if they didn't, like for example, my man's father, his biological father, had stepped out when he was just 2, 3 years old. And he's had another man who's been in his life all of his life because this person was high school sweethearts with his mom. So like they've stayed in contact, been friends. But he sat here and he started acting like he was going to step away from the kids. He was going to act like his job was going to keep him away from everything important. He was like, oh, no, well, I need to be doing this work. I need to be doing this. And I'm like, okay, well, what about the kids? They need you to be here for this. This is Christmas time. What are you talking about? You're not going to be around for Christmas. You're here for Christmas every year. And I had to sit here and communicate with him to make him understand you are doing exactly what you swore you would never do because of what was done to you, and it tore your heart
Mm.
apart. It still has you in your feelings about it because you're because it wasn't okay. You felt some type of way because your biological father wasn't there. And it took you to being 29 years old and he only 30. He just turned 30 this last year. And it took you being 29 years old to be able to even communicate your feelings towards your father, your biological father about that. And you're sitting here now, you're starting to do the same thing. And you said that he was about the same age that you are now when you were doing that. And I'm just letting you know that you're doing it so that that way you can take your choice of what you're going to do with it. You're going to either correct it or you're going to follow in those steps. And it is 100% up to you. I'm not going to sit here and judge you either way because I'm not God. It ain't my job to judge. I've told people that my whole life. It ain't my job to judge nobody. God does it on his own. That's his thing. And I'm like, but I want you to understand this is what you're doing because I don't want you to be resentful, and I darn sure don't want our sons to be resentful towards you because you've decided to pull back on being in a part of their world that they deserve to have you as. Because that is something that does happen quite often, and a lot of times men don't even realize it's happening until somebody says it to them, and it has to be somebody that they actually can trust enough to tell them the truth without them feeling like they're just saying that to be an ass. I mean, or
I
to
think
be.
there's a I think there's a difference between judging and holding accountable.
Right.
But a lot of times when you hold people accountable who is not used to being held accountable, who's not used to, having to face and deal with responsibility, they look at it as judging. Especially, and I'm gonna go ahead and
Yep.
I'm gonna let you talk, Francis here, but just let me say this really quickly. This is where people need to be clear because a lot of people say, okay, only God can judge me, only God can judge me, only God can judge me. And that's far from the truth. But if you know your word, you know this that we can righteously judge, but we righteously judge according to what God says. We're not going and judging you on what my opinion is. So I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I think that you nasty and dot 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 this, that, and the third. No, God says to righteously judge. So if I come to you as my man and I say, okay, hey, you are doing something that you shouldn't be doing that you said you didn't want to do. That's not me judging you. That's me holding you accountable. There's a difference. Not only am I holding you accountable, I love you enough to say, okay, you want to break generational curses. You didn't want to do what your father was doing, but you're doing exactly that. Again, I'm not judging you, but I love you enough to hold you accountable and to be like, all right, maybe you don't see your actions as a problem, but here, I'm telling you that it is.
Yep.
And so that's just where, I stand and I sit with that, especially when it comes to people who were romantically involved with. Because if you see me or you hear me doing something crazy or I say something wild that you know I shouldn't be saying, hold me accountable for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to look at it. But again, it goes with maturity. I'm not going to look at it as you judging me. If you coming at me the way that you're supposed to, you're coming and you're talking to me and we're having a conversation where you're talking to me and not at me, I'm not going to look at it as you judging me. And
Yep.
I need for it to be the same thing the other way around because there is righteous judgment. And so that's where I sit with that. But anyway, go ahead, Francis.
What about the ones who openly know
Know
that they're
that they're
repeating
repeating
the
the
curse of the
curse of the
generation?
generation.
And what I mean
And
by
what I
that is
mean
like,
by that is
okay,
like,
You
okay,
got an
you
echo,
got an
boo.
echo, boo.
Okay.
is it still echoing?
Nah.
Okay. So what I mean by that is like, okay, perfect example. My husband, he was like, oh well, my major thing was board games, family night, things like that. And it was like, oh well, I don't do that because my mother and my father didn't have time to do this stuff with me. So you was able to identify it and understand, okay, because you didn't have that growing up, you deprived my kids of it.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. And those are the excuses that they come up with to justify the behavior on why you're not doing something different. Okay, you didn't have that. You didn't have that with your family, but this is not I'm not that. This is us. And that's the same thing that I even went through and I faced with my ex-husband and other romantic relationships that I was in. Okay, yeah, no, that's what you had, that's what you did, but we're not that. But thank you for letting me know because again, now I am in a spot and I'm in a position where I can make the choice make the choice on my own, one, on whether or not if I want to keep dealing with you, or two, not even if I want to keep dealing with you, but okay, now let me go ahead and let's find a different way that we can spend time, that we can have family time together. That there's so many different things that can happen from that. Thank you for letting me know. But okay, we're not that. We're trying to break the generational curse. We're trying to do something better. We're trying to do something different. That's probably what you didn't have, but it doesn't mean our children doesn't deserve to have it. That's not what that means. Go ahead. Oh, were you gonna say something?
Who? What? Who?
Oh, I don't know. I was waiting for. I thought somebody was about to talk.
Ah, ah.
I thought somebody was about to talk. But for the people who know that they're holding on to, they're not trying to break those generational curses. For those people, there's something that they're holding on to from their past, something that they're still not healed from. Because yeah, you're aware of it, and a lot of people are aware of what they're doing and that they know is damaging. They know this, but are you going to do something to change it? Are you going to do something to fix it? Are you going to do something different?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to do something different? That's just like one of the things that kill me is that people will like parents. Parents, right? You grow up, these kids grow up and their children become a mass shooter or a stalker, or they end up in prison, or they end up in a gang or something along those lines.
In a
The
very bad
children, yeah, end up in, and they end up in these situations, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do that. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you would do that. I can't believe my child did that. Yeah, you did. You better believe it, because them signs have always been there. But are we going to break the generational curse? Are we going to start taking accountability? Are we
Yeah.
going to start taking responsibility? You knew it. It was there. We always see it. A lot of times we ignore what we say because we want to see the good in people. He's a good man, Savannah. Okay? He's a good, but is he your man?
Oh, I'm sick.
Right? We want to see the good in people, so we ignore the mess that they show us. They're like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and sweep this under the rug and pretend like I didn't see what I saw.
Facts. My kid would never.
My kid would never do that. Yeah,
they
they would.
That
Like,
reminds me of a childhood friend.
You got to echo. My man would never cheat on me. And then they start nevering like they ain't never before.
that part. That part. Straight like that.
Go ahead, Brittany. Why are we echoing?
I grew up knowing a kid. His name was Tommy. And his mother was. She wouldn't. He used to go back to the sun, knocking the around, kinds of different stuff. He wouldn't do. You physically watch that you're actually doing it.
Hello? Okay, that worked. I don't know why we got an echo. Hold on, I'm gonna mute you, Janaea.
I'm trying to fix it. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I got one.
Okay, what were you saying, Brittany? Say what you said again.
There was a kid when I was growing up that his mom swore up and down all day, every day that he wasn't doing anything. And she watched him take this baseball bat to the cemetery and start knocking headstones around. And I'm like, and then the police showed up. She's like, my Tommy would never do that. And I'm sitting here like, you physically watched your son do this and you gonna still deny the fact that he done did it. It made
And the
no sense.
same thing with grown people. Same thing with grown people. The same exact thing. They start nevering like they ain't never before. And you be like, well, dang. People can quickly turn you into a liar. They can quickly turn you into a liar. They can quickly do something or start behaving a certain way or say something that goes against what you've been saying about them, the praises that you've been giving them, how they've been this good person. And so, like I said, they'll always show it, whether if they tell the truth or not, or they just actually come out and say something. They will always, 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 always show who they are. And whether if that is them being a liar, abusive in some type of way, even that, and it doesn't even always have to be bad. It can maybe be some good qualities in them, but they'll always show who they are. And as far as the generational curses and the people that hold on to them, I believe that's because of an unhealed trauma and something that they've gone through that is keeping them in that spot to want to they're comfortable there. They're comfortable in that dysfunction.
And that's a cycle they think is supposed to be on that machine of theirs.
Yeah, they're comfortable in that dysfunction. And so that gives them a reason to hold on to that comfort blanket. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Go ahead.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Could like, cause I'm still trying to understand. Even though me and him not together no more, I'm still trying to understand what could be the main factor. So, could the factor of that be because his mother and his father were young? They shouldn't have been having kids when they had him.
I
Like, and they didn't
personally
properly know how to raise him, so it kind of stuck with him.
a lot of us don't, right? Like there's no handbook to parenting. There's no handbook to life. The closest thing that you're going to get is the Bible, is the good word. But
Absolutely.
go
Like,
ahead.
okay, when I say that, it's like, okay, his mother was 14 when she got pregnant, 15 when she had him.
Oh, she was a baby.
The father was 18, 19. So, the father, because he was older and he could have technically got charges pressed against him, the grandmother kept him away. Like, listen, that's not your son. We're not doing no DNA test, blah, blah, blah. So he didn't
Mm,
know, he didn't have his father around to actually show him how to be that man figure, even from birth. But then
mm.
he had his grandmother, he had his aunt, he had his uncle that was always around. So it's like, even though he didn't have dad to teach him, he had uncle to teach him how to be a man.
Mm.
My thing is, I
Wow.
don't think it's about the age because I got pregnant with my daughter when I was 15 and had her when I was 16, and I don't act like that. So
Mm, okay.
I don't think
Listen,
it's about age.
that's why I'm asking questions, because you never know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to make it make sense in my head, because what the hell?
Well, I think first of all, I know I personally have spent a lot of time trying to make someone else's unlogical thinking or behavior make sense. But when you are not in that mindset, that mind frame, when you are not there, you can't make it make sense. You can't make it make sense because there is a method to their madness. So for us, it don't make no sense. It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense, but to them it does. Now, again, why? Who knows? Maybe it's childhood trauma. Maybe it was different romantic relationships. Who knows why this guard is there? But it's there. The thing is that we will drive ourselves totally insane trying to make it make sense when we can't, because why are you acting that way? So, okay, we know that we can't make it make sense, but I can't come to you. Now, if you care, I want to say I want to be here with you. I can't come to you and be like, how can I help you? How can I help you? I don't mind trying to help you, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to make the choice to make the choice to be different, to make the choice to be better, or else we can't continue to move forward. Because what you're doing is going to spill out on our relationship. What you're doing is going to show with my kids and y'all relationship. And I can't do that. I can't do that. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like you don't have a problem when I know that you do. I can't fix it for you, but I can help and be there with you and pray with you and whatever else it is, but I can help be there with you while you go through the steps on fixing it. But at the end of the day, if you make a choice not to, then I'm not staying around. I'm not staying around. It's just not going to happen. And so that's where I sit at with it. And then as far as the age thing, um, there, I don't know. I think I was 22, 23, 23 maybe when I had my son and I was married. And I was seeing the situation be different in a lot of different situations. As far as people having children young or older, but just because you have a kid doesn't make you grown. It don't make you grown. It just
And don't have to
mean
grow up any faster.
and they don't help you grow up no faster at all. Not
It
at all.
it was crazy because that was just kind of a topic the other day on another app I was on, and we were speaking on how for a mother we become a mother when we first find out we're pregnant, but for a father, they tend to realize they're a father when a child is born.
For me personally, I I'm not sure for me on that. Just because I can't say I became a mother, I became an incubator. I became the person that was going to uh, bake this bread to push out this baby. But for me personally, the lack of maturity, because right, you got to think the frontal cortex of our brain is not fully developed till we're 25. Okay, 25 years old. That's when the frontal cortex of your brain is fully developed. There's a lot of things in life that we still don't have the gist on, even after becoming parents, especially when you become a parent and you're young. There's a lot of things that we don't have. And so, yeah, I became this person who's going to carry you and things like that. But the lack of maturity, I can say for me, honestly, when I had kids was still there. I didn't know how to parent. I didn't know how to mother. I didn't know how to do any of those things. I didn't know what it was gonna like to have to sleep with a newborn baby every night or have to have a toddler. I didn't know what any of that was gonna be like, and it definitely reflected on my kids. You can definitely see it that there was some issues that I had and their dad too. And I'll take responsibility for that. I can do that. But that where there was parts in their life where I was not a good mom. I wasn't a good mom, maybe because I was yelling all the time or, maybe because I was threatening all the time, but there was parts where times where I was just not the mom that I was supposed to be because of the lack of maturity. I think it's sometimes double that for men because they don't have to carry the baby. A lot of times they don't spend as much time with the kids as we do. But I can say for me, even at having a baby at 23, my mind frame was just still not it. It wasn't there. There was things I still had to learn.
I can attest that I didn't have my first one until I was 20. So I definitely understand that. I agree with that.
Yeah, like I knew I would be a nurturer and all those things like that. But for me, especially when it came to the nurturing part, I'm not a touchy feely person. I'm not a real affectionate person. And so if for me, it was hard for me to be all cuddly and have to, my kids want to hug all the time or they want to. That was hard for me because that's a problem that I have always had my whole life. So even when I had children, it was still a problem. And so a lot of this, we're growing and we do this as we go with having kids. But I can say for me, I did not hop into after carrying these kids, especially the first one, where I didn't hop right into being this, the mother or the mom that I'm supposed to be or was supposed to be.
I guess for me, it was like kind of a little different because like I was kind of forced to grow up at a young age, having to take care of like my step siblings' kids while they
Mm.
went to work and stuff. So I'm not gonna say I was a perfect mom with my first kid, but I kind of knew the basic majority of the stuff as far as like formula feedings, changing
Yeah, I
diapers,
knew those.
knowing the
Yeah.
difference between the cries and understanding, okay, this cry means the baby needs a diaper change. This cry means the baby has gas. So I guess because of that, it kind of like matured me up a little bit more.
I want to say, like, for me, that it I knew those things. Like, I know the basic things. Like how to take care of baby, change a diaper, all that stuff. Like, even before I had kids, I was keeping kids. I always had somebody's kids. I was in childcare. I think for me, it was just the whole mental things. There were still things that I was still growing in and areas that I needed to mature in my life before I can try to even teach those things to my kids. Like me personally with my relationship with God. I couldn't back then when I first had kids, or even after my son had turned 4 or 5, 6, my oldest son. I could not talk to my son about God. I couldn't talk to him about life decisions or certain things just because the maturity or the lack of it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Like there was times that I would yell at my toddler. I would yell at my baby because I would get so frustrated or I was upset with his dad. And so then I would yell at him or something like that. Or I would just go and put him in his crib and let him cry because I was just frustrated. But that was because of the lack of maturity that I had. Yeah, I knew I got to change diapers. I know how to do all of that stuff. All that stuff is the easy stuff. But then it does get more difficult, and I'm sure. I mean, y'all can probably all attest to this. With parenting, it's more than just that.
Yep. And they always tell you, you're not going to know until you have your own. That holds a lot of different weight because it's different. I mean, you sit there and when you're thinking that before you're a parent, you're like, oh, well, it doesn't. I mean, like, I know how to do all this stuff. It's going to be easy and simple. And then it happens, you're like, oh, they weren't talking about just all the basic stuff. They were talking about like emotional attachment or
Mm.
emotions and mental for a lot of the things that it goes into being a parent versus, like just knowing the basics.
That leads me up to a question. Do you ladies believe that you are responsible for helping your children heal with traumas?
1,000,000%. Right
Yes.
down.
Yeah, I believe that.
For sure. For sure, for sure. Same thing with me. Go ahead, Francis.
One thing we as parents have to understand is our children learn from us. Learning
Yes.
starts from home. So if we can't teach them healing, we can't expect the outside world to teach them how to properly heal.
Go ahead, Jay.
I feel like to an extent, yes. Yes. It all the way up until they get a certain age.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's the thing, when they get that certain age, like I think it's our job to guide them. Now,
Yeah.
they do get grown and they make their own choices and decisions. They're going to. But it's always our job as parents to guide them. When you become a parent, you never stop parenting. You never stop parenting. You're always going to be that parent. But it is our job to guide them and to show them and to teach them, okay, even if you were the reason behind that trauma, hey, this is how you heal from that. This is
Mm-hmm.
what you can do.
Shoot, my mama was trying to parent me yesterday, and I'm grown.
Right. And so, I believe that should be taught to them. I definitely think that's something that should be taught to them, and especially with me personally, um, knowing I'm not just going to say what I believe, what I know that our children is our ministry, and we are responsible for what we are teaching them, and
Exactly.
God will hold you accountable for it.
It's like once they get a certain age, it's always allowing them to understand that the parent will be there for mental support.
Oh yeah, that's the
Yes, they
time
have
where
a
it's time
mindset.
to at that time now it's time to apply what you've learned. And now it's time for them to apply what they've learned, and okay, hey, this was taught to me, but then life does happen, and so you were taught these things, now what are you going to do with them?
Yeah, because we can only give the tools, we can't do the work.
That's true, even for the little people that we're raising, so that's very, very true. All right, Miss Queen Brittany. So, is there anything else that you want to put out there? Any other helpful tips or stories or anything that you want to share?
No, I think that should be pretty good for the night.
Okay. All right. Miss Janae, Unique, Francis, y'all got anything you want to add?
I am good tonight.
All right.
I'm
What you
good.
said we can lead the horse to water, but we can't make them drink. I'm trying to tell them again for them in the back. And that includes our children because they are their own people. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you so much, Queen Brittany, for joining us. Appreciate it coming through for the Love Talk podcast. Anything you want to add? You want to let the people know if you got something coming, doing anything you want to add?
Not much. Just got my own podcast going to be kicking up here between now and Valentine's Day. And I, sorry. That's Davia. That was Frankie. He says hi, Shantae.
Hi.
Like
your
my kids
podcast.
always think they gotta be in the middle of my everything because they know that they are my everything.
What's your podcast going to be about?
It's going to be a little bit of everything. I mean, touching base on relationships because that's something that I feel very strongly needs to be put out there for people this day and age. Um, and it's not just romantic relationship; it's for relationships with your children, relationships with God, friends, family. Because there's a lot of things people just are not aware of, and things that I feel like our generation was raised with, that was taught to us or our parents before us, that are starting to filter through and fall through the cracks. And those are things that are very vitally important to be able to sustain a great foundation for their future and for God to be able to still be a part of the future, because it's terrifying to think about. But if you keep looking at everything that just keeps happening in today's world, just everything and as a whole, it feels like people are taking so much of God out of the world. And that's not a world I personally myself would like to be in. I don't want to be in a world where God ain't important to people. I don't want to be in a world where people aren't wanting to pray anymore. They don't believe in praying. They don't believe in anything. And that's very sad. And I don't want that to be a part of the world. So I'm going to try to do my part and make certain that I speak out and let people understand. There are times and situations in your life where you're going to feel like God ain't there. He ain't listening. But the only thing you can do is know that he's there and pray on it always, because God does answer. It's up to us to decide how we're going to listen.
And that sounds like it's definitely going to be a pretty powerful podcast for sure. And that's awesome. Congratulations to you on that. That's a whole different topic though for a different day, because it is written what will come to pass, and all it is just coming to pass, and we just happen to be one of the generations who's seeing it. And so it is written, a lot of this is, and so it's coming to pass. There are things that are happening now in the world that, looking at it at face value is like, oh my gosh, this is wow, okay, this is happening. But if you know what you know, then you know. And all you can do is be the best person of who God has called you to be. But again, a different topic for another day. A different topic for another day for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you. We appreciate having you on the show. Definitely make sure.
So long. I have been swamped busy with so much extra stuff.
Oh, we get it. We get it completely. We get it completely. But definitely make sure y'all share, y'all comment. Go ahead and let them know where they can find you at. Brittany?
Thank you for having me. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah. What social medias? Where can the people locate you?
Instagram, Facebook. I don't really have a whole lot of platforms because I don't do a whole lot of extensive stuff. I don't really have I have a Twitter, but I don't really go on Twitter because I feel like that's just a lot of fodder that I don't like dealing with. So
all right, what's your IG?
There's anything else, so I don't really go to Twitter, but mostly Facebook and Instagram for sure.
What's your IG?
I am not even sure. I would have to actually look at it because I don't ever pay attention to this stuff.
All right, y'all.
You're definitely gonna find Queen Brittany's Embrace is definitely like my everything. It's actually a business I have actually started a while ago. Queen Brittany's Embrace, which is like me trying to help other people embrace their inner person, and be able to help them heal to being a better them. That's kind of what I've been about for quite a while, and I'm actually starting to push and promote that out farther now.
All right, awesome. We all heard it here on the Love Talk podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on the Love Talk, where we talk about everything love, relationships, situationships, entanglements, and awesomeness. Queen Unique say sunken ships and drunken ships. I am your host, Shantae, and
the bald-headed beauty, Janae Yvonne.
And Queen Unique in the house.
And I'm Miss Comment Regulator and Moderator, the Savage Queen. What's up, girl? You gonna give your last goodbye? She might be busy, y'all. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us on the Love Talk podcast. We'll be back tomorrow where we're talking to a TikTok creator, Miss Jazlyn, and we're going to be talking about social media thugs and what it is like being a TikTok creator. I'm super excited for tomorrow's episode. It's going to be a little different, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
That's going to be a wild show. I know a little bit about it, you know.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us on the Love Talk podcast. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Toodles.
Bye.